Once a fossil has been found and identified, it can be compared to other fossils to help determine the species it belonged to. There are a couple of different techniques used in order to do so, but we will just focus on bone morphology and bone DNA. Bone morphology, or bone shape, can be used to visually compare and contrast one fossil from another. Though this doesn't provide exact evidence of a relationship between two fossils, it is very helpful for paleoanthropologists to initially distinguish one species from another. Caving expert Dirk van Rooyen will now walk us through an example of using bone shape to determine the species of a fossil using a tooth.
For instance, if you find a tooth and you can see the crown, and you can see, okay, that's definitely a primate. If you have enough of the tooth, you can normally see, okay, it's baboon, or it's possibly, hominid or something.
You're looking at like length of the roots or size of the cusps, or
Yeah, the cusps, with,
okay.
for instance, bovids, they have these very sharp cusps, and very like quite high, compared to hominids.
That was just one example of using bone shape to distinguish one species from another. One other technique scientists use to decide the species of a fossil is through DNA still present in the fossil. Samples of DNA can last an incredibly long time in fossils, up to 50,000 years, and can be extracted from discovered fossils. The extracted DNA from different fossils can then be compared with another to know any similarities or differences. Paleoanthropologist John Hawks describes to us briefly what we can do with different samples of DNA.
The largest samples we have are for early members of our own species who are living in the northern parts of Europe and Asia. So we know an awful lot about Europe in the Bronze Age, in the Neolithic, in the Iron Age. We can trace the histories and migrations of European populations back to as early as 30,000 years ago really accurately, because we've got DNA sequences from tens of thousands of fossil and skeletal individuals.
As technology advances and new discoveries are made, the accuracy of distinguishing one species from another will improve, and the family trees of all species will be determined, and there is nothing more exciting than discovering a new species.